Chess, as we all know, is a sport that involves a lot of thinking, along with the knowledge of how the pieces move on the chess. Modern chess was born in Europe in the 15th century, and today it is a competitive board game played between two players. Now, a chess game can be summarized to have three main parts: the opening, the middle game, and the end game. Each of these parts is characterized by special features such as knowledge, strategy, and technique. In cubing as well, we need to focus on knowledge, strategy, and technique. In this video, we are going to be looking at similarities between chess and cubing. The game of chess. The opening is all about knowledge and memorizing a sequence of moves. A good opening knowledge almost always ensures that one emerges from the opening in a better position than their opponent. There are a lot of different openings in the game of chess, and people usually tend to learn a few of them and use them as a set of tricks. Middle game. The middle game is all about strategy and understanding the dynamics of any position that gets created on the board. It involves a huge number of techniques that a player can only learn after a lot of practice. These techniques get deeper and more tough to visualize as you get better at the game. End game. The end game is all about technique and is the portion of the game where fewer pieces are left on the board. There is usually an imbalance in the position of the two players that needs to be exploited in order to win the game. End games are the most solved positions in chess. They are won by knowing suitable ways to convert an advantageous position. Now, let's talk about cubing, a Rubik's Cube solve. Let's take an example of a 3x3. If you use the CFOP method to solve the cube, then there are three essential parts involved: the cross, the first two layers, and the last layer. The cross includes solving the edges of one of the faces of the cube. The first two layers include building two layers of solved pieces with the color used for the cross as the base color. The last layer involves orienting and permuting the remaining pieces to end up with a completely solved cube. Cross. The cross in this method is one that doesn't initially require knowledge to get through, but definitely needs you to learn better ways of solving it as you get better at cubing. Similar to learning an opening in chess, where you initially just play whatever feels right, but then realize that in order to improve, you must learn more about how it works and what moves make sense. First two layers. Consider the first two layers. Solving them is more or less intuitive throughout your journey of improvement, but as you get better, you start looking for more efficient solutions and better ways of solving various cases. So naturally, you begin learning new ways of inserting pairs, setting them up, and executing them correctly. Last layer. Then, looking at the last layer, we have a combination of two segments called OLL and PLL, which in total consists of 57 and 21 algorithms respectively. So initially we begin with learning how to solve each segment in about 2 algorithms each, which is time consuming. However, as we get better, we learn more and more algorithms until the last layer is completely fluid and easy to solve. This is a combination of knowledge, knowing all the 57 plus 21 algorithms, building up your vocabulary slowly. Strategy, figuring out what angles are better to solve certain PLL cases, as well as how to avoid certain cases. Strategy, figuring out what angles are better to solve certain PLL cases, as well as how to avoid getting certain OLL cases. And technique, developing optimal finger tricks for solving the different cases. So, I think this is a good summary of the comparison between the learning process of solving a 3x3 and improving at the game of chess. But the real beauty is in the comparison that people don't often make. This is a direct comparison between these steps and the whole game of chess. One could compare the cross step with the opening in a chess game, where the knowledge can be an advantageous factor. The first two layers could be compared with the middle game, where strategy and planning can mean the difference between a good and a bad solve. The last layer could be compared to the end game, which is almost entirely dependent on technique, considering the fact that the solutions are more or less known beforehand, or in the case of chess, more or less solved by computers and analyzed to determine the best technique to convert a winning position. This comparison is extremely beautiful, and such videos are so much fun to make. Once you've convinced your brain that something has similarities with something you already know, it becomes so easy to learn and improve at anything. Like the video if you found it helpful, subscribe to our channel and turn on notification bell to get updated for future videos. Thanks for watching and happy cubing.